was younger, there was a girl I knew who lived in our neighborhood. None of the kids liked her because they claimed that she stank and acted weird. When they talked about her, I kind of felt bad, so I became friends with her. Yeah, of course, I got the, why do you hang out with her? But she really wasn't all that bad. But her scent, they were kind of right about that. One day, she invites me over to her house, and she was very excited because she told me I was the first person to ever come over. And I felt so honored, so I went. But when I went into her house, it smelled very bad, almost nauseating, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be rude. She had a lot of uncles that lived with her family. Honestly, it was like 4 to 5 families in one house, to be honest. But she first introduced me to her stepmom. I said hi to her, but she just stared at me in disgust. Then we went to her room to play. As it got later, I told her I needed to go home. But she begged me to stay longer because she was scared. I told her I'd come tomorrow, and she just starts crying. She runs into her bed and falls into her sheets, which lifted her skirt. There were bruises all over her thighs. Let me know if y'all want a part 2.
Story time, the biggest lie I ever got away with as a teenager. So my sister and I were going to spend the weekend at my stepdad's, and I asked my parents if I could bring a friend. My dad said he didn't care, and my stepmom said no. And my parents were really strict. But obviously I did not listen. So I invited my friend, and her parents were also really strict. So we came up with this elaborate plan that I would ask her parents and tell them that it was a surprise for her. And they believed it. So the day comes whenever we're supposed to leave to go up to my stepdad's. So, we get off the bus, walk to my house, and my stepmom was asleep because she worked night shifts. So I was able to sneak my friend through the house to my bedroom. Little did she know she was going to have to hide in the closet. So my stepmom came in and needed to borrow a pair of socks for work. And I was literally guarding the closet with my life. And she goes, "Get away from the closet, you're acting so suspicious. What's in there?" Like for part 2, by the way, Stacy and Candace, if you see this, my bad. Okay, part 2, sorry for keeping you guys waiting. So she literally pushes me out of the way, goes and looks in the closet, and stands there for a whole minute. And me, I'm over here having an anxiety attack. My sister's looking at me, making like hand gestures, basically saying, "What is she looking at?" And I'm literally sitting there, and I get to peek in the closet, and my friend is not there. And I'm like, where did she go? And then she starts moving things around in the closet. So she didn't see anything, and she goes to walk out of my room, and she goes, "You guys are so weird." And I run over to the closet like, where is she? And she pops out of this box that is literally in plain sight and goes, "Is she gone yet?" And trust me, I know this doesn't sound like a big thing to get away with, but whenever you have strict parents and they're looking for somebody in literally a 5-foot space, oh honey. This was a big deal for me. And tonight is going to be the night that my stepmom actually sees this.
Story time about how my neighbor killed my dog. So a little background information. When I was about 3 years old, my parents got me a German Shepherd. And my neighbors who lived next to us absolutely loved our dog. And so did their kids. Like their dad literally put a doggy door in the fence, so that way our dog could go back and forth from our house to his house. Well, when I was about 8 years old, my neighbors decided to sell their house. So he told us that he had to take out the doggy door because the people that were buying his house hated animals. Well, the people who had just bought his house, they ended up moving in before he could take out the doggy door. So our new neighbors asked us if we could put like a piece of plywood in front of the door so that way our dog couldn't get through. And they said that they would do the same to their side of the fence. So my dad said, yeah, he put a piece of plywood in front of there. Well, my dog, Gabe, the one night that my brother let him out, he ended up getting the plywood off of the doggy door. Well, my brother literally had to crawl through the doggy door to get the dog before one of them saw him in the yard. Part 2 about how my neighbors killed my dog. So like I said, my brother let the dog out, and my dog got the piece of plywood off of the door. And my brother had to crawl through the doggy door to get my dog out of our neighbor's yard, so that way our neighbors wouldn't wake up and know that he got through. But whenever my brother went to go get Gabe, he realized that my neighbors didn't even have a piece of plywood on their side of the fence or anything. So my brother told my dad, and my dad went over there the next day to talk to them. And he pretty much said, "I'm not going to have a piece of plywood on my side of the fence if you're not going to be doing anything on yours to prevent my dog from going into your yard." And they were like, "Oh, well, your old neighbors never took out the doggy door." And my dad was like, "That's not our fault." Well, then our new neighbors said, "If your dog all of a sudden becomes sick or just does not come back, don't be surprised." My dad decided to replace the door himself. Well, once Gabe realized that the doggy door was gone, when we would let him outside, he would literally... Well, 2 weeks later, Gabe ended up passing away. And we found out it's because our neighbors were giving him rat poison.
One time when I was in high school, we had a teacher sit in on one of our classes, And the teacher who was actually teaching the class was like, okay guys, turn to your partner and discuss the assignment or whatever we were doing. And so I turned to the guy next to me and I started talking about the assignment, and the sit-in teacher comes up to me, snaps in my face to get my attention, and goes, stop talking. First of all, I'm just doing what I was told to do. Second of all, just because you're old and a teacher doesn't give you the excuse to be rude. You don't need to snap in my face to get my attention. You could just politely come up and say something like a normal, decent human being. I don't know why, I've just been thinking about that today.